Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the April 8th, 2025 Zionsville Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. If you would all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Dale, if you would take attendance.
Yes. Josh Fedor.
Present.
Jim Hurst.
Present.
Josh Martin.
Present.
Amanda Miller.
Present.
Kathy Postlethwaite, I believe, will be absent today. So you have a quorum of 4.
Thank you. The March 5th meeting minutes have been distributed to you. I trust you've all had a chance to review it. Were there any questions or changes to the minutes? All right. Would love a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
So, voice vote for this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. There are no continuance or withdrawal requests. There's no continued business, so we are on to new business. And I got to flip the paper around here, but 2025-07 SE, special exception pursuant to section 194.082 to provide for a 2-lot minor residential subdivision in the general agricultural AG zoning district. Mr. Dale.
Yes. Yes. Donald Allen is the petitioner here today. There you are. Thank you very much. Mr. Allen's requesting a special exception to establish a 2-lot residential subdivision in the town's agricultural AG zoning district. That zoning district requires board approval, BZA approval, to establish residential uses there. As mentioned, this is a 37-acre site located east of County Road 700 East and north of County Road 200 South in Worth Township. Drew, if you could put up that image for us. Thank you, sir. Again, a 37-acre site. You'll see there's a couple notches taken out of that parent tract. Those were formed before the town's code limitation that limits the number of splits that can occur as a minor subdivision. So those 2 lots there were formed prior to January 1999, so they're, for lack of a better term, grandfathered. They were established before the current rule that places a limit on the number of splits that may occur as a minor subdivision. In this case, then, therefore, we have a 37-acre, which I'll call a parent tract. That is, the legal description was formed after, or before, I should say, January 1999, so it's a lawfully established tract, and the code allows may allow one exempt split, which I believe they would be pursuing as part of this project. The Zionsville Comprehensive Plan designates this area for low-density residential, which is primarily intended for single-family development with less than 1 dwelling unit per acre. This exhibit now shows you the intended subdividing of the tract. I'll zoom in a little bit more to show you those 2 splits that occurred earlier, and then tract 1 consisting of 2 acres, and then the remainder. Again, the comprehensive plan designates this area and this parcel as low-density residential. The petitioner is asking for a special exception to establish a 2-lot, so there'd be the 1 acre and the remainder. Residential subdivision in the ag zone. If approved, the property would split into 2 lots, lot 1 being 2 acres and lot 2 consisting of 35 acres. Lot 1 would support a new single-family dwelling home, and while lot 2 would remain undeveloped at this time. Both parcels would meet the minimum required development standards for lot size and depth to width and so on, so they conform to the town development standards. Staff has reviewed this and is recommending a favorable vote on this project.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Members of the BZA, do you have any questions for staff?
Can they get a septic field on a 2-acre plot, or does it need to be more
Yes,
than?
I believe so. I think
Okay.
that is the minimum requirement
It's minimum too. All right.
by the county. Board of Health.
Does the petitioner wish to address the BZA? We would need you to come up here and state, if you wish to speak, we need you to come up here, state your name and your address to the microphone.
Like I say, if you need me to, I will. Does it help if I do?
We can probably, yeah, why don't you just give us just a couple of minutes about it? We may have a couple of questions for you.
My name's Don. So,
Your full name and your address, please.
Don Allen, and our address is 1605 South, 700 East, Whitestown, Indiana. Back when I grew up there, it was simply Rural Route 1, Whitestown, Indiana, 46075. I have a hard time remembering the address that it has now, but that's the address.
All right, could you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing here?
Well, it's my daughter and her husband and her kids, our grandkids, that would be moving in there. My wife and I have had the unfortunate challenge of trying to take care of our parents in their old age. And so my mom, she was the last one remaining, and she started going into dementia. So I spent basically 1 year and 7 months living at the farmhouse trying to take care of her, while my wife was still living in Indianapolis in our home there. And that's not easy. It's hard, it's difficult. And then we know more than when my mother passed away, her dad, who is now 90, he needed care, and she's now taking care of him in Indianapolis, and we're still living apart most of the time. So part of the reason for all of this is that we know that when we get old, if we're fortunate enough to live long enough, there's going to be challenges. And having our daughter right next to us, we have 4 sons before we had the daughter. The one daughter is better at taking care of us than the 4 sons. So
this is recorded, sir. Just
Yeah, we did put that on the record.
strike that. Well, they know it too. But anyway, she is like the glue that holds the family together, just like her mother does. And so, so having her right there next to us, we just know that that would be a wise thing to do. And there is a limit to how many people we can have move in there. So we're really hoping that this will all be okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public or anyone online that would wish to speak here? Hearing none, members of the BZA, do you have any questions for Mr. Allen?
I think you're very lucky to have a child who wants to come back and live close and take care of you. I mean,
Yeah, we
that's
are.
very commendable. I think it's great. I hope I can do it someday as well.
And she's really smart too.
I have 3 boys, so I think I'm a little worried right now.
You
not
probably
all
should
bad.
be.
Have your neighbors raised any objections with you, Mr. Allen, or how might this
no,
affect
sir.
your neighbors?
No, sir, they have not. And the neighbor just down from us, she has chickens and everything, and she says she's perfectly happy as long as it's family. We've had a lot of housing development move in real close to us, and she's not real happy with that, but she likes the idea of family. So we've talked with her and so on, but all the notices have been put out. We never heard any complaints from anyone. So. And of course, they're building brand new, so there's no question about whether it would cause property values or anything like that to go down. It's actually going to raise our property values probably.
Members, any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. I think you can probably
Thank
be seated.
you.
Any discussion?
I think it's a great lot. I live right down the road from you all, so welcome to the neighborhood. I don't see any problem with this.
I don't either.
Well, may we get a motion?
Sure. I move that docket 2025-07-SE special exception to provide for a single-family resident use in the general agricultural zoning district be approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report and staff recommendations, submitted findings of facts, and evidence submitted during the public hearing.
May I get a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Mr. Dale, if you would call roll.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Amanda Miller,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Josh Martin.
Aye. Well, that
Motion carries.
passes 4-0. Congratulations. Good luck with your project. Okay, now we will call forward 2025-08-DSV, a development standard variance pursuant to Section 194-019B and Section 194-.052C to expand a legally established nonconforming structure, reduce the aggregate side yard setback, reduce the south side yard setback requirements in the urban village residential RV zoning district. Mr. Dale.
Okay. Morgan Gran, the petitioner, is he here today? Morgan? Okay, great. They're requesting three variances to expand an existing home at 55 East Ash Street in central downtown Zionsville. Three variances for an existing house to expand. So there's three variances. One is to expand a non-conforming structure. It's non-conforming because the structure currently does not meet the town's minimum standards for side yard setback and aggregate. Okay, so that's why it's currently non-conforming. So the first request, as required by the town code, is to expand a non-conforming structure. They wish to add a kitchen and a few other things, which I'll get into in a minute. Second variance, therefore, is to encroach into the 5-foot side yard setback. They want to build into the existing 5-foot side yard setback. And then the third variance, is request to reduce the aggregate, the minimum aggregate side yard setback, which is the sum of the side yards. The minimum aggregate setback requirement is 15 feet in this zoning district. There is currently only a 6-foot setback on the east side and a 2-foot setback on the south side. And they want to build into that 5-foot side yard setback. So expand to encroach into the 5-foot side yard setback on the south, and then to exceed the aggregate, or to reduce the aggregate 15-foot, minimum 15-foot aggregate setback. So that's about 2/10 of an acre. Lot 44 in Oliver's Addition, located at the southeast corner of Main Street and Ash Street. Currently a 1,700 square foot home and garage with a 500 square foot unfinished basement. Let's see. Go to exhibit. Go to the site plan here. Here we go. So this is the site plan provided by the applicant on your screen. As proposed, the owner is wanting to add about 956 square feet to their home. Once completed, if their request is approved, the new squareage would be about 2,656 square feet. The project consists of expanding the garage, the addition of a new mudroom/laundry room, a new kitchen, a new front porch along Main Street, and expansion and addition of a bonus bedroom and bathroom on the second floor. As proposed, the project encroaches into the 5-foot side yard setback on the south property line and does not meet the minimum aggregate, as mentioned earlier, the minimum 15-foot aggregate. The code calls for these not to expand a non-conforming structure, minimum 5-foot side yard, aggregate of 15 feet minimum. The expansion would occur on the south portion of the building. And the project creates two issues. One is the encroachment into the minimum 5-foot side yard setback along the south property line. The petitioner's site plan shows the existing garage being only 2 feet from the property line. So the code calls for 5 feet, and the garage already encroaches 3 feet, resulting in a 2-foot side yard setback. And so staff's not really opposed to this on the south side because the existing structure is already 3 feet into the 5-foot, and the expansion, I think, is only 3 feet from the south property. And so they're not encroaching any further toward the south property line than the existing structure. The mudroom being 3 feet from the property line and the new kitchen being 4 feet from the property line. Because the east side yard setback is only 16 feet, the construction along the south side yard setback would need to be at least 9 feet. So here we get into the aggregate. Again, the east property line, the south yard setback would need to be at least 9 feet to meet the 15-foot aggregate requirement. So again, the existing house does not conform. The existing structure already does not meet the minimum side yard setback standard or the aggregate side yard as mentioned earlier, due to the existing garage being only 2 feet from the south property line. For the project to move forward, they need variances. Approval of a variance to reduce the south property line setback requirement from 5 feet to, I believe, 3 feet, and then another variance to reduce the 15-foot aggregate. Staff is recommending a favorable vote on this. Favorable toward the first variance to expand the non-conforming structure, a variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback of 5 feet to 2 feet, and a variance to reduce the aggregate side yard setback of 15 feet to 8 feet, 6 feet being the aggregate being the sum of the 6-foot side yard on the east side and the 2 foot on the south side. And that's all I have for the moment for you. I hope that was not too confusing.
Thank you, Mr. Dale.
All right.
Members of the BZA, do you have any questions for staff?
Mike, this, what we're looking at on the screen here shows on the north side a 20-foot setback. That looks like a building in that 20-foot setback. Or am I looking at, or is that the porch I'm looking at?
Yes. Yeah, I would ask the petitioner to respond to that question.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Dale, could you just briefly again touch on the unnecessary hardship justifications that staff had for each of these variances?
Yes. From staff's view, the structure is already non-conforming, and the expansion will not further encroach into either the side yard setbacks and will actually not further reduce the aggregate side yard setback either. And so from our perspective, the hardship is really being caused by the zoning code by requiring these setbacks when the existing structure doesn't conform and the project itself won't further result in further conformity to the code.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is the petitioner here, and do they wish to speak? If you would state your name and your address, please.
Yes. Can you put the PowerPoint up, Mike?
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. Yes, my name's Elizabeth Bence-Williams. I'm a land use planner with Clark Quinn, Moses, Scott, and Gron, with address at 320 North Meridian Street, Suite 1100, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204. With me tonight is Joe Sikos from our office and Morgan and Matt Gron, the homeowners and petitioners for the variances requested. If you would, next slide, Mike.
Okay.
On this slide, this shows the elevation of the proposed designed home as it will be constructed, as well as the aerial showing the lot at the southeast corner of Ash and Main Street. This does add 956 square feet to the property, and originally there were 4 variances filed. And I'm going to speak to each one of those, and I will explain the one that was asked about with the front yard. This home was built in 1944. It is, as Mike mentioned, legally non-conforming as it sits today. And it not only has a corner lot, but it also has alley access to the garage. So we have public rights of way on 3 sides of this lot. Next slide. The first variance that we are requesting is that variance that does not allow for any kind of enlargement, expansion, or extension of a legally established nonconforming building. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see the home as it stands today. On the left-hand side is the site plan that shows the existing conditions that Mike has explained to you, with the 2 front yards on both Ash and Main Street, the 6-foot side yard setback along the alley to the east, and then it's actually just a little bit over 2 feet on the south property line for the setback of the attached garage. It is an irregularly shaped lot in addition to having these public rights-of-way. And so we have these existing nonconformities. So in order to do any kind of expansion on this site for this home, we need the variance of that prohibition on adding to or enlarging an existing home. Next slide, please. This demonstrates this is the variance that has been withdrawn. You ask about the front yard setback along Ash Street. When this was first filed, there's an existing encroachment of the porch along Ash Street, and then the dashed line of the property addition that shows a 19-foot setback for the new addition. We looked into and had a surveyor go out and make measurements on the site along the entire block between Maple and Main, and the ordinance states that you can use averaging if 50% of the block is encroaching, basically, and all of the other encroachments, including the house on the east side of the block, encroach further than the new 1-foot encroachment. So we submitted that to staff, both the zoning staff and the permitting staff. They have reviewed that and agreed that we no longer need that variance. So that has been withdrawn. Next slide. This relates to the minimum side yard setback on the south side of the property, the bottom part of your screen. The requirement is 5 feet. Again, the existing garage is just a little over 2 feet, and you can see the 2 proposed additions, one at 3 and one at 4 feet. Both are obviously less than the existing, and they've been designed to maximize the setbacks along that south property line so that they don't encroach on the property further to the south. And all of these additions will be in compliance with the Indiana Residential Code, including exterior wall construction and the fire prevention code. Next slide, please. This is our final variance, and this is the one to reduce the aggregate side yard setback. As I said previously, we have a lot with 2 front yards.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, was this the right slide or is
this is the right slide?
Okay, thank you.
With 2 front yards and 2 side yards. And with the 6 foot along the alley on the east and the 2 feet on the side yard to the south, we have an existing aggregate of just a little over 8 feet. So they have designed this that it doesn't exacerbate that, it doesn't increase the nonconformity, and it's not continual all along the property line. They have tried to do this in the most sensitive way they can and still make sense of how the interior layout of the house lends to being, for an addition, because that has to make sense too when you're designing. And without the grants of the variance, it would practically prohibit additions to this structure. Final slide, Mike. We would like to thank staff for working through this, because we did have some changes as we went along, and they were great to work with. I put up the elevations of this proposed improvements to this home. And we would ask that you incorporate our findings into the file, and we respectfully request your favorable vote to grant these variances. I am happy to answer any questions.
Members of the BZA, do you have any questions for the petitioner?
Are you aware of any comments or concerns from neighboring properties?
They have talked to their neighbors, and all of them have been in support.
What is the overall height of the south elevation of the home? I would guess the tallest peak, or even either one of those peaks, what's the height of that?
I don't know.
Okay. I guess
It does not require variance.
If the BZA members don't have any further questions, I will ask members of the public, online or in person, if they wish to speak. Seeing no one online and no one in the room, BZA members, what discussion might we have?
I struggle with getting my head around the 5 foot, or the reduction of the 5 foot setback. I understand that the non-conforming building is 2 feet, but 2 feet, we're not, 5 foot's tight between two properties. Why, I'm sure the neighbors right now are not objectable. One thing I've noticed about all of the village and a lot of Zionsville, people move in and out of the community. So I really struggle with getting my head around the justification for the reduction of the 5 feet setback. So.
And I should have asked this earlier, forgive me. Has this home seen any additions since its construction in 1944?
Not by the petitioners, but yes.
Okay. And do we know if any of those additions since 1944 have been what is put it into what is now considered non-conforming, legally conforming non-compliance?
I have a feeling they predate an ordinance that would have regulated that. We weren't given any information as far as previous variances that were granted on this property. So as most small towns evolve, it probably just got done, in my experience.
Ours too.
I will say the unique thing about this property, while I understand what you're saying, and I'm shocked no one has had any concerns in the village, but is that you have an alley behind, like almost all 4 sides have, they're not next to another house. It's a unique end lot from that standpoint.
There's a house that backs up to on the south side, isn't there?
Yeah, but isn't there an alley behind that or no?
Not on the south side.
Huh?
Not on the south
Not
side.
on the south side, okay, so just behind.
Yeah.
If there was an alley there, I
Right.
may be able to get my head
Yeah.
around it a little bit better, but I'm just not seeing the hardship.
Well, the unnecessary hardship is the hard part to get through in all of this. But it speaks heavily to me anyway that they are not even going to the limit that their buildings already are at. They're actually pulling them back some. That's a hard thread to navigate, but in my opinion, I think they've accomplished it here.
I would tend to agree.
I just, like I said, 5 feet is awful tight. It's in the ordinances for a reason. And I appreciate the fact that they're pulling back some of it, but like I said, I struggle getting my head around that one. The other two, I'm okay with, but that's just where I stand on it. There's 4 of us here, so.
Any further discussion?
I guess my question, so that addition that you have some concern about, what is going in on that side? What part of the house is, is it?
The one that is 3 feet from the property line is the mudroom.
Got it.
And the one that's 4 feet, so only 1 feet less than the requirement, is the kitchen.
And the one that's 3 feet, that's close to where it's already 2 feet set off, correct?
Correct. Because it needs to match up with the garage that's existing. And I was told by the petitioner, the home to the south of their home has already been, they've done remodeling there. And I would reiterate that as far as safety is concerned, there are fire prevention codes that this will measure up to in the design and the issuance of the permits and construction, as well as Indiana building codes for exterior walls.
And none of this is a special exception for coverage requirements on the lot or height. I mean, it really all has to do with setbacks and the construction that they're asking to be permitted to do are actually further back from the existing buildings.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now.
Josh, I assume that you're clicking away at something and looking at it and pondering for a moment?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm
Oh,
just
no,
looking
I'm
at a
just making
map.
sure you
I'm
weren't
just-
answering
yeah.
text, so.
No, sorry.
He's got Google Maps up, I can assure everybody.
Yeah, the neighboring property does seem to be set back quite a bit from, it looks like they have more than 5 feet on their setback. And, I mean, just looking at the maps here, so there would be more access point through there.
Question, what is the,
Questions or
No,
contemplation, or?
I have one question. What is the height of the fence along the south property line? Is that a 6-foot kind of a standard height? What is on the south?
Is there still any of that fence there? They took the fence down, the neighbors did, when they renovated their home.
Oh, so there is no fence on the south?
Right.
Okay,
And they did talk to the Grons before they did that.
okay.
Well, there are 3 variances requested, which will require 3 separate motions and 3 separate votes. Does anyone want to tackle motion 1?
I can. I move that docket number 2025-08-DSV Development Standards Variance to enlarge, expand, and extend a legally established nonconforming building in the Urban Village Residential RV zoning district be approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report and staff recommendations, submitting findings of fact, substantial compliance with the submitted site plans, and evidence presented during the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fedor. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Dale, if you'd call roll.
Josh Martin,
Aye.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Amanda Miller,
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Motion number 2, addressing the reduction of the minimum side yard setback requirement of 5 feet to 3 feet along the south property line. Is there anybody willing to make a motion there?
I will. I move that docket 202508 DSV Development Standards Variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback requirement of 5 feet along the south property line in the Urban Village Residential RV zoning district be approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report, the staff recommendations, submitted finding of fact, substantial compliance with the submitted site plans, evidence presented during the public hearing.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Dale, if you'd call roll.
Amanda Miller,
Aye, President.
Josh Martin,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Nay.
Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against.
Thank you. And the final motion for this docket, motion 3, to reduce the aggregate side yard setback requirement of 15 feet to 8 feet. Would one of you brave souls tackle that?
I move that docket 2025-08-DSV Development Standards variance to reduce the aggregate side yard setback requirement of 15 feet in the urban village residential RV zoning district be approved as presented and described based on the findings of the staff report, staff recommendations, submitted findings of fact, substantial compliance with the submitted site plans, evidence presented during the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Fedor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Dale.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Amanda Miller,
Aye.
Josh Martin,
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Good luck with
guys.
your
Looks
project.
beautiful.
Yep.
Do I sign on the one? Though even when I voted? Yeah.
No.
Sign the second, or don't sign the second. Got it.
Mr. Dale, I think that takes us now to the other matters to be considered
He
section.
was just as bad, so.
So we are addressing the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park temporary placement of recreational vehicles. Under section 194.097D3D, temporary uses. Temporary uses shall be permitted in all zoning districts, subject to approval by the director based on his or her decision that the use will not detrimentally affect health, welfare, safety, or morals of the neighborhood under consideration for such use. The following are permitted temporary uses subject to the issuance of an ILP and other uses deemed temporary by the BZA subject to all conditions the BZA may deem necessary, which is in bold, so I think that's our language for tonight. Mr. Dale, please
Yes, we
proceed.
get caught up with you here. Okay. Regarding the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park, I believe Tammy Pluchel's here to represent the owner. Great. The owner for the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park is requesting a determination from the Board of Zoning Appeals regarding whether or not the temporary placement of RVs at the mobile home park would qualify as a temporary use. There's currently a well-established mobile home park called Pine Ridge, located north of State Road 32, east of US 421, within the city limits. There are several unoccupied lots or slots, so to speak, within the mobile home park, and there is a demand for those slots by generally the workers associated with the Eli Lilly / LEAP project in Lebanon. It's our understanding that because of that project, there's going to be a huge demand for temporary living accommodations for the contractors, workers, engineers, and so on, associated with not just the Eli Lilly, but the build-out of the LEAP project. So the owner has approached us asking, what is the process? What would be the process for allowing RVs to park within the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park on a temporary basis? It's my understanding the request is somewhere in the range of 3 to 5 years, and that can be further elaborated by the Tammy Pluchel. I believe, are you the real estate agent, so to speak, for this? Go ahead and step up to the microphone. Well, this is more of a conversation than a hearing, if you will. This is not an advertised hearing item, and so we can talk about this. But yes, Tammy's here representing the owner. What is your official capacity?
I am the manager. I'm the regional manager. We have several properties, so I'm the regional manager. I do have ownership in some of our properties, but not this particular one.
Okay, so you're manager of the mobile home park? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. The town code, and I think you saw the memo that I had sent to you, and also there was a map associated with that memo that explains what we're doing and how we got here. The town code provides that the planning director, namely me, Mike Dale, can approve certain types of temporary uses. For example, temporary mobile offices associated with construction sites. That's a temporary use that I can approve administratively. I think signs are another type of temporary use that the planning director can approve. But beyond that, beyond those limited types of temporary uses, the code says that the Board of Zoning Appeals may deem whether other types of temporary uses are indeed qualify as temporary. So that's why this is before you, both this item and the property at 309 North 421, which we'll talk about next. Those properties, both those requests are asking for the temporary placement of RVs. The code says again, you, the board, would deem whether or not the temporary occupation and placement of these RVs would qualify as a temporary use based on the testimony given by Ms. Puchel this evening. You are also, by code, allowed to establish limitations or conditions on the temporary use. So I'll stop there and invite Ms. Puchel to go ahead and further elaborate on your proposal.
Thank you guys for having us tonight. Hopefully we can kind of explain this. We've been in the mobile home park business for 30 years. So we've owned several parks throughout the state. We try to keep it somewhat close to home. It makes it easier for us to keep things managed and under control. You're finding sometimes that a lot of owners are coming in now from out of state. We're local. We're in our parks several times a week. We make sure things are being run, to the best of our abilities. Obviously, our residents sometimes do things very quickly on us that we try to keep up with, but we do the same vetting process that we do for our residents for all of the RVs. The RVs that are coming in are probably worth more than our mobile homes. We have a current RV that is worth $200,000 sitting there right now. Most of them are probably minimally $50,000 to $60,000. Obviously, these guys that are coming into work, they're working 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day. They just come there, they sleep, and they go back. They want to live as close as they can to the job because obviously the hours that they're working. They're making a six-figure income, so they are going to be bringing money to the community, purchasing their groceries, and sometimes they'll bring their families, like during summer times maybe, to be able to see their families and stuff like that. So they're going to be spending money doing that more so than our current residents normally do. We feel that this temporary use, it's not something we want to do, and we are not going to be filling our whole entire park with RVs, okay? I mean, they would probably like us to, but we're not going to do that. We still have a business to run, and when all the RVs are gone, we don't want an empty park. We're limiting it to what, I think we've got 12 in Pine Ridge, and I think we have 4 at the 309, so 16 total is all we're looking at doing for a temporary use to be able to help the Eli Lilly project. We were contacted by the head contractor, Fluor Contracting, about helping to provide housing. They were very much struggling. They're finding that struggle is getting worse day by day. So they were really hopeful, when we gave out eviction notices because we got a letter that we were going to get fined for having these RVs in there. Fluor, Eli Lilly came all to us and said, guys, what do we got to do here? We can't let these people move. So we're hoping that you guys feel the same and want to help the LEAP project and the Eli Lilly project, other projects that are going on in these contractors, so that they don't, there's nowhere else for them to go. There's no other options. There's no campgrounds. We did get a variance in Lebanon. We own a park in Lebanon, so they gave us a variance there. Once again, we're limiting it. We're not doing our whole entire park. But there's just not much. The campgrounds are only open 6 months out of the year. So when those guys go, like if we have people that are coming in now, they go to the campgrounds, they have to move out by October. Then they have nowhere to go. The mobile home parks are open year round. So it's a better option for them to be able to sit still and have a place to live year-round and not have to, it's kind of a pain for them to move their RV and reset up and all those type of things. So that's what we're looking to do. And like you said, we're thinking 3 to 5 years. I mean, they don't know, obviously, the length of the project and, how it's all going to go. So, we would be willing to, come back and revisit it once, in 3 years, 5 years, whatever, and tell you where the project's at and where we're looking at doing and, how things are going.
Mr. Taylor, just a clarification, no public comment on this, right? Okay. Members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, do you have some questions?
Sorry.
I can start.
Yeah, a bunch of questions.
Yeah, I've got several. And these are this is the stuff that's popping in my head, so it may be
Nope.
already taken care of already, it may not be.
No problem, go for it.
That facility has its own sewer and septic field?
We have a sewage treatment plant and a well.
Okay. And that is inspected by the Boone County Health Department currently?
Well, I know the IDEM inspects it, and then we have a service.
Okay.
We hire Asbury, and we have certified operators for both, and they come and, I don't know, I think it's almost every day, I think they come and test it and all that.
Okay. I'm just, like I said, these are
Absolutely.
what's coming to my head. Adding these additional lots, fire protection, I know we have a fire department right down the road. Are there hydrants out in front?
So these are not additional lots?
I'm well aware of that.
okay.
I'm just asking, is there fire protection out there currently? Or does anybody know?
I mean, I'm assuming there is. I know the fire department has been
I don't
out
think
there.
we've ran water up there to run hydrants out. Yeah, there's not up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then who will own these units? These are not going to be owned by the company you work for. These are going to be individually, privately owned units.
Correct. These contractors will own all their own RVs.
And you said 12 units in the current park, and then
There would actually-
the next thing we're talking about, there's going to be 4 in.
Right. Actually, it's 3. There's one mobile home already there, so it's 3. There would be 3 units.
And that is a point of clarification. How many units or how many RVs are you asking to allow in the mobile home park?
So currently, we have 12 lots
Okay.
earmarked for RVs in the mobile home park.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And like I said, I think that's kind of probably where we feel that's a good mix. I mean, it's,
How long have these units been, I drive by this quite often. How long have those lots been empty? Has that been, these people moved out in the last year or two off these lots, or they've been empty
it's
for-
various for sure. I mean, we've had probably in the last 6 months, we've had 3 or 4 probably have moved out, and then some have been empty.
My concern is this is some of the little affordable housing we have in the community. I don't want to see people being or encouraged to move out of there in any way so that we can
Right.
bring in more
No,
units.
absolutely not. No, that's not our intention.
Okay.
If somebody's looking to move and their home is not of, good repair, then we will look to get rid
It
of.
would be okay if we capped it at 12 units?
Sure.
There's been some conversation that the RVs coming in are more valuable perhaps than the mobile homes that might be installed. Why RVs? Why not put in mobile homes there and let the residents rent those under your current use?
And absolutely, we can. I mean, we're actually going to be bringing in a mobile home probably, it would have been here this week if we hadn't gotten all the rain, but here in the next couple weeks, and it's a brand-new home. We are not opposed to that, but we also, at the same time, would like to be a good partner with the community, and they're looking for RV lots, so we felt we would like to be a help for this temporary time to them, and then we will, once all that starts to go away, we will be bringing in homes at that point. So,
I'm curious, obviously, mobile homes are somewhat mobile, right?
Right.
But RVs are very mobile, are meant to be on the road. As far as like traffic in and out, I mean, is there going to be any kind of rules or perimeters? I'm just thinking if I was living there and then these guys are taking their RVs and they're leaving, bringing back, and then there's issues the road and things like that, and,
That is not these guys are here. We are mainly getting guys that are here long-term. I'm not gonna tell you, some guys might be there a year and a half, okay, maybe minimally, but a lot of the guys we're speaking with, we got kind of hooked on early on with the Fluor contractor, so we have actually a lot of the upper management guys, so they're actually gonna be here for most of the project. So we don't have people like taking their RV on the back of their pickup truck and going out every other week or things like that.
I'm just wondering if there's actual parameters in place written on the uses that they can have within that park, set in stone, because to say that is great.
Right.
But to actually have it written down is another thing. Because, love to say this guy's gonna be on, I've worked with tons of construction crews, and I can promise you, they turn over big time.
Right.
So,
No,
there will be a super on there. It may not be the same super for the next 5 years, but.
Right, no, I completely understand. We've actually had a couple guys already leave that have been there maybe like 6 or 7 months, okay? I guess to that point, obviously, I can't predict that. You know what I'm saying? I can't predict that. But the one thing that we are not going to allow is we're not going to allow somebody on a weekly or monthly basis be moving their RV out and coming back in, you know what I'm saying? They're there, they have to, so we hook them to the, they hook up to our utilities just like a mobile home. They are hooked up just like a mobile home, no different than a mobile home. They're hooked up exactly. The only difference is they have a plug that plugs in, to the electric. But the other thing is we require them to be skirted, okay? Even our State Board of Health doesn't require that, which I was shocked to find that out. But we require that. That's something we require. We want the park to look the same. We don't want them to be disruptive to our current residents. And, we manage it that way. If we would find one of the RVs is going to be running in and out or doing things that's disruptive, we're going to get rid of that. I mean, that's not going to happen. Just as if a regular resident would be disruptive in some way, we are going to manage that and, handle that in a way that needs to be handled. So that's why I said we're local, we're very hands-on. Most of our residents know our name. Most of the residents have my cell phone number. They understand. They say if Tammy's coming in the park, they're very, I've got them pretty well trained. So I feel that we have a pretty good handle on the management part of it, and people, they know if something is escalated in some way, we handle it immediately, and it's taken care of, and it moves on. So.
I guess my only ask, if this is possible, is to see some kind of document that when these are brought in, what are the guidelines that they're signing on to when they come into the park? So there's some kind of set understanding from that standpoint, other than I know, Tammy, you're a force to be reckoned with, and I can understand that completely.
I get it. But you just have to, what would you like to see in those? What are some bullet points you would like to see in that?
Quite frankly, how often these can be moved and relocated on site. Is there any kind of criteria? Like you said, it has to be skirted, like that being in writing, and it has to be,
Right. They sign a lease with us that states that they have to be hooked to our utilities, they have to be skirted.
Is it a month-to-month, or is it
They are month-to-month
Okay.
leases, but people aren't,
right?
they're not moving. Like I said, they don't have anywhere to go. They're very similar in the fact of like our current residents. Our current residents have nowhere to go. As you said, there's not a lot of affordable housing out there. And like I said, once these guys set their RVs up, they're not looking to move. It takes them time to do all that, and they have to set it on pads and all these things, make sure they're all good. They skirt it. They don't want to unskirt it and reset up somewhere else. Even though it's easier to move than a mobile home, it is not something they're wanting to do, is to move. When I gave them the eviction notices and had the meeting and talked with them, they all looked at me and just was like, Tammy, I'm skirted, I'm set, I'm ready to go, where am I going, So I feel, I guess, in our vetting process that we are getting a better RV person. It's not that person that is moving in and out. It's not the lower person that's maybe only going to be on the job 6 months and things like that. So we are really trying to, because we don't like a lot of movement within our park. That's the reason why we sell our homes and not rent our homes, because we're looking for long-term people.
One of the things is how many people are going to be living in these units? I mean, you're saying one, but is it, I mean, I
It's-
just don't want
Correct,
6
nor do
people
we.
living in one of these things and.
Right, nor do we. So that is very, just as our mobile homes, we're very cautious about that. So mainly, it's normally them. Sometimes they have a wife, and sometimes they'll have a child that might come on a now-and-then basis. But we are not going to have several.
That would be something I'd like to see in that language and some sort of a lease agreement or some sort of agreement that.
What they have to sign is they have to sign, it's a separate piece to our lease, but they sign who they've agreed that actually will live there or come there on a now-and-then basis, and they do have to sign that, along with the vehicles that they will have there. They're not allowed to have more than 2 vehicles, all those type of things. So there's,
And the RVs are going to maintain current plates, correct?
Correct.
License. Okay.
absolutely.
I'm assuming there's codes as far as capacity in here, just to piggyback off, residents and numbers on the lot.
As far as the RVs,
Yeah, so for instance, someone has like 6 people in an RV, where does that get from like a code standpoint? I don't know if that's a you question, but I'm assuming you have a,
I mean, we have our own standards. I'm not sure if there's codes out there that, just even within our mobile homes. I mean, we keep a very tight ship on who's there and all those type of things. So that's why I said we're not going to have 6 people living in an RV just because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, even though we understand the tiny home living is a big deal these days.
So, I mean, in your mind, at what point what's the number where you guys would go, nope, we don't agree to that?
Right. With the RV guys, I don't have as much issue because it's mainly them. It's mainly one person and sometimes the wife. So
Until it's not. right?
exactly, I agree, but I just don't, I have more problems with my mobile homes, because there's more room, so they try to put more people in there. I would say, based on, I've got some of the RVs are 45 feet long. Okay, that's a pretty good-sized RV. Some of the RVs are only 35 feet. Okay, so I'm going to say, I mean, for the most part, probably somewhere around 4-ish is probably what I would call a good number.
not in their lease, correct?
Like I said, there's not a what do I want to say, a maximum number, I don't believe, in the lease, but we have them sign stating who lives there, so then that's our cue. Once again, it allows us as a landlord, you have signed something at the beginning stating these are the people, so when I find more people than that in there, then I have my reason for eviction if I need that, so.
And I might suggest, if you were interested in setting a condition on approval, you might be able to set a condition of no more than X people on the lease.
I have a question too. Do you require the mobile homes and/or if the RVs are allowed, do you require them to be insured?
We do ask them, but we do not ask for verification, I guess.
Okay.
We tell them that we think that's a good idea as the owner of their RV and/or mobile home.
Okay, thank you.
You have to have insurance, license, or
Yeah.
plates on it though as well, so you would, that's kind of a little bit of a scapegoat there, but yeah, I agree with you, insurance would be. I'm just trying to think of, and I didn't realize this was on our docket tonight until about an hour ago, so there's a lot of things going through my head with this one. I think I think in theory, it's a great idea. There's just some concerns about it, and, but I think if we put some restrictions on it, and I do think, revisiting this on a maybe annual basis or biannual basis would be a good move on our part.
That was gonna be another suggestion, yeah. to
By
not,
annual, do you mean every 2 years or twice a year?
Every 2 years. No, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Because things change, and if there's one thing we know, is things are changing fast, and this LEAPS project is going to put some strains on the entire county,
Right.
so.
Well, and I understand that this discussion and the decision that the BZA may make tonight is entirely within the law and our rights. Had this been noticed, I would imagine we would have a few people here asking questions, and there'd be some downforce.
I think there'd be, I can about guarantee you, there'll be some concerns from the public in that area.
Yeah, now-
Growing up in that area and what I've seen in the last couple of years here,
What do you think some of those concerns might be?
some of them, everything. Let me just put it that
I
way.
mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out what is the
I-
difference
and there are
between the
things that-
RV and a mobile home? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess we feel we're putting in a better class of resident temporarily that should help the community versus hinder the community.
And I see your point on that as well. But there is some, is there a real, I guess what brought this to the staff's concerns to begin with? You said there were some units out there, you had to file some, was there
Yes,
someone
so
from the
I
public?
believe that the electric meters, the building inspectors are called to approve new electric meters, which is a common practice. And so then when they were out to inspect for the electric meter permit, they asked the question, well, these are RVs, this does not look like might be a permitted use. And so that involved staff to review this and to dig through our codes and figure, no, mobile home park doesn't allow RVs. And then this has been going for about maybe 2 months, working with the landowner, trying to figure out, what's going on there, and then what would be the process to allow the RVs there. So I think it was triggered in part through our permitting.
so how long have RVs been occupied on your site for?
Owned it. Which I believe
So
is
how long is that?
2007, 2008.
But not the construction workers from the Lilly project or any of the construction team from the LEAP district? You've just,
No, because
that's,
obviously that's just a newer project.
I'm just curious, so
We
they
had
haven't
other
come to site?
contractors
Got
with the
it.
RVs, like, there was a gas pipeline, I believe, put it down on the west side of Indy. Other type of contractors that have been in and out over our,
I know, just when you were talking, you were specifically citing the Lilly development, not the history of years that you've been using this as RV site.
Right.
So I specifically thought you were talking about, because you kept talking about really nice RVs coming in, because these are six-figure incomes. So I got a little crossed up with
No, that's
that.
right. And
Thank you for
that's the
explaining.
way it's been since we've owned the park, that it's always been higher-end RVs, higher-end salary guys, contractor guys that come in, because they don't have anywhere to go. There's no, like I said, there's no year-round place for a RV to go. We're working on that now. We're trying to find avenues, because after our meeting with Mike and the crew there, with Fleur and Eli Lilly and all that, I mean, Fleur told us they're gonna have 5,000 workers at the peak. And that peak will happen in about a year, and they don't know where they're gonna put them. They've already had the one contractor summit, who was also at this meeting, which was a couple weeks ago. He had 6 people, he hired 6 people. They got here, they turned around and left because there was no place to live. So, as you said, the strain on the county is huge right now, and they're concerned. Obviously, nobody wants the project to stop, without workers. So we're trying to work with them currently to try to find what we can do to try to help. Obviously, not within Pine Ridge, a whole nother place type of thing, and trying to figure out they need a lot of, our little 12 and 4 lots is just a minuscule amount. They need thousands. They need thousands of lots for RVs to come in.
How many RVs did Boone County approve for the use variance?
For
For the RV parking?
In Lebanon, do you mean, Mike?
Lebanon,
in
excuse me,
Lebanon,
yeah.
we do not have a restriction.
Oh, okay.
We put our own restriction on ourselves.
Oh, okay.
They did not give us a restriction, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said you met, that Lebanon gave you.
Lebanon gave us temporary use of RVs, but they did not put a lot restriction, like
Oh,
the
okay.
number of lots
Got it.
allowed.
Got it.
They did not put a restriction. We put our own, because once again, we're still running a business, and we don't want,
I'm surprised there's not codes in place from like a fire safety standpoint on how many you could have on one lot? I would
How much you can have what?
How many units you could have on one lot? I'm surprised there isn't. I'm assuming there has to be something from
Like,
that
do you mean as a
standpoint.
parcel or as a mobile home?
Yeah,
lot?
you said there's no restriction in Lebanon, but obviously if there was a fire and you had so many lots and it was so dense that the fire truck could not access that, then that would be a fire safety. So I would assume that there would be some kind of like,
So the deal is, maybe I need to explain this a little better. So we have mobile home lots within Pine Ridge and/or our park in Lebanon. These RVs are sitting on one mobile home lot, where a 70 or 80-foot mobile home lot would normally fit. So the fire is gonna get to them, the fire department's gonna get to them just as if a mobile home was sitting there. It just happens to be an RV. So does that help explain
yeah,
a
no,
little
I was
better?
just talking about density numbers.
Yeah,
If you were to, you put your own requirements, you said you do your own requirements as far as density
No.
and lot sizes, but this,
so it's not the density, what we're putting, so if we have 50 lots, I believe, 48, something like that at Pine Ridge, so we are putting the number of lots that we will allow RVs to come on. That's what I'm talking about. We put our own restriction on how many out of those total lots that we have, as far as how many RVs we're going to put on there. And those are on normal mobile home lots. We are not putting 2 RVs on one lot. We're not putting, so that it would be crowded or whatever, because we don't want that. We want this to be safe for everyone.
You are already limited by the number of lots you have.
That's correct.
Because and your RV to lot ratio is proposed as 1-to-1. You're not trying to put 2 RVs onto a lot.
That's correct.
And in the case of this, the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park, you're suggesting that you're self-limiting at 12 lots, 1
That is
RV per
correct.
lot. Okay.
That is correct.
That, I had gotten lost in all that too.
Okay,
So
that's no
thank you.
problem.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad I was able to clear that up.
Are these 12 lots all concreted? I mean, it looks like just on this aerial here, some of that's grass. Are these paved
Some of
lot-
them have runners on those, and then some of them have stone, and then they use what you call we call them ABS pads, pier pads, and they set their jacks on those pier pads.
And you continue to own the land even under the mobile homes that
That's
are on
correct.
your property? And so you're leasing the land, but you lease the land month to month?
That is correct.
Okay. I've heard some fellow BZA members express, they don't want people racing out of there or bumping and running. Would you consider longer-term leases
Sure.
on this and
Yeah, I mean,
and
I don't
consider
think-
that as a restriction?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a year lease or whatever. I mean, I don't think some of these guys, like I said, I think the lease that I've heard from most of these guys have been like 18 months. Some of them don't know. That's the other problem of that. They, work for Summit or whatever, and all of a sudden, there's something happening at their job in Arizona. And they're like, okay, we got to pull 4 of you guys from here, and we got to take you over here.
Well,
know-
that kind of leads to my next question. Are you signing a lease with the proposed engineer construction worker, or are you signing a lease with the company that is employing them?
We are signing the lease with each person.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, but like I said, we try to ask a lot of questions at the beginning in our vetting process, trying to be sure, like if they say, like we get calls all the time. We get people saying, hey, can we come and stay there for 3 days? No. Can we come and stay for 1 week? No, we're not a campground, and so when these workers come in, we ask them, what is your expected time at the job? And they'll say to us, well, we don't know exactly. They're telling me a year, 2 years, and then I get some guys that said, I'm gonna be here the whole entire time. So, but I
you're
don't
kind
think,
of
I don't think a
confirming
year's
what I
lease would be-
originally said, which was that these people are going to be coming and going quite a bit, and that they don't know how long they're going to stay, right?
They don't, but that's why I said we have been really trying to get the right people.
Yeah.
We only have 12 lots, so I feel we can be pretty selective. And so, but I don't think a year's lease is out of the question.
You said you've been since 2007. You guys have had RVs in there, and it's just kind of recently become an issue with this.
Correct.
Okay. So almost 20 years you've been
Right.
already
And-
doing this, so.
And I don't believe we've had any issues. Nobody's raised anything to us. I mean, as far as,
No.
There's not been any, like, need for police to come out, or you have nothing interesting?
You had a fire out there a year or so ago, didn't you?
we had a fire, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
And they
police
got,
out
they got
there.
in and out of there just fine for
Yes.
that fire.
You've never had police out there for any kind of calls or anything? Because I've seen actually police there before, multiple
Oh,
times.
I thought you meant just specifically with the RVs,
No,
but
I'm
no,
just
we've,
wondering if
no,
it's-
we've had police calls out there, absolutely.
Yeah, I see it quite frequently. And I'm wondering, I guess, because I drive this road a lot. And so now I'm wondering, is that bringing in more people from out of state that are just here for temporary? And, I mean, I actually saw a really pretty crazy scene there. That guy had a gun, like,
When?
on one of these RV parks.
Oh.
This
not
is
at
like,
our- not
no,
our
this is
place.
this one. This is the one on 421. There was a bunch of cop cars there. Anyways, I drive this road all the time, so I'm just
We don't
trying to
have too
understand
much police
crime
activity
and-
out there. I mean, obviously, there is some. I don't recall the last instance, so it's been a little while. Once again, that's our vetting process, even with our mobile home residents. You know, you have to, it's an interesting process. I will just explain it that way. You really have to ask a lot of different questions. But yeah, I can't really remember to me, it's been a while since the police have had any sort of activity out there.
If this is something that the BZA wishes to contemplate, I've kind of heard a few concerns repeated several times, and so I'm just suggesting limits that if someone was making a motion that they might consider. Residents need to be named on the lease, no more than 4 residents per RV. That the BZA would review this every 2 years. So if this were granted with this condition, it would mean that 2 years from now, they would have to come back in, tell us how it's going and what their needs are. They would limit to 12 RVs in the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park with a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 RV to a lot. And that they would move maybe from a 1 month or a month-to-month lease to an annual lease to reduce the, I mean, people can break leases. There's always that, there's extra friction to slow down the changeover that I've heard express some concerns over. Did we have any more questions for the petitioner or staff or anything more?
I have a few other conditions that you might consider.
Thank you, Mike.
That the RVs must be skirted,
Yeah, thank you.
and that the RVs must have current plates, and that this determination, if it's approved as a temporary use, is valid only for 24 months, but may be renewed subject to the BZA approval.
I will also let you know, we are governed by the State Board of Health. That's how we get our mobile home license. So just so that you know, every car and RV that are on there has to have a current plate. That is a violation of the State Board of Health. So they will violate us, just so you know.
Yeah.
That would be a violation if they do not have current plates.
Well,
Just
that
FYI.
means if we apply that condition, it'll be easy for you to agree with.
Exactly. I mean, it's
That's
easy
right.
now
Yeah.
because it's already,
Yeah, yeah.
with the State
No,
Board of Health. So,
you-
but just so that you know that is also
No,
their
this is
requirement.
all very new to me, so I
Right, I get it.
appreciate
Most people
that.
don't know all these. We have a lot of weird rules within the mobile home park, so.
Is this gonna, when you fill up all 12 of these lots, will this be the first time the park has been at maximum capacity? No, or in recent time at least? Like I said, I go back to, I know you're governed by the health department or by the state on the septic. I'm concerned about that being a private septic system and being right along the edge of Eagle Creek, maxing out capacity on it or something along those
I
lines.
believe we have, I mean, I could get from Asbury, but I believe we have more than enough capacity. I mean, we've been at full capacity in that park since we've owned it numerous times. I mean, and we've never had any issues.
Like I said, I just worry about
Yeah.
that. I'm thinking of all the things that,
No. And they would tell us, like, because they are, the certified operators would let us know. And like I said, I believe we've talked to them, and I think we could have more lots if we had space, but so I think we're not even at capacity with our utilities.
In addition, the town code requires the issuance of an ILP or improvement location permit for a temporary use. So I would add that as a requirement, that not for each RV or not for each incremental RV that comes, but just one permit where we can document what's happened tonight through that permitting process. Also then, prior to whenever the temporary use would expire, whether it's 2 years or 5 years or perhaps longer if you come back, that the property would be restored to its original clean condition, devoid of RVs, trash, and remnants of the temporary use. Okay, and then the owner submitted a letter to us, Mr. Wisely, in which he states that there will be no public address systems, floodlights, or other lighting detrimental to adjoining properties, or flashing or blinking signs. So I would add those limitations as referenced in the owner's letter to be also part of the conditional approval. That's what the BZA is inclined to do.
Just to get back to septic, because now you have my mind going, and we all love Eagle Creek. And if the board doesn't agree, I'm willing to let this one go, but it would be an easy thing, since you have them out potentially regularly, to check it, to write something to the note of, we have capacity for X amount of residents at any given time, just so that we know officially, because I just heard you say I think a lot, and I like to always go based on fact. Just so we're clear and we don't have any issues later on, and, we know what the capacity of that is. That would just be my one suggestion too.
Maybe we could have the operator, Asbury, certify the capacity. That might be the way to handle it, and they probably have done so to IDIM anyway.
Yeah.
But they would be the person who could probably say that.
Absolutely.
Provide the certification. Prior to the issue of the ILP.
Maximum capacity of?
The private sanitary treatment.
Thank you.
Plant provided by the operator, who is Asbury, A-S-T-B.
U-R-Y.
U-R-Y, yeah. I'm familiar with them.
Got it.
Mr. Dale, have you made copious notes of our, because my handwriting's horrible and I just wrote it, I already can't read it.
It's going to be the
The first time you heard it, that was it.
I think I'm glad I'm acting chair tonight, so I don't actually have to try to make this motion. Happy to continue the conversation if there's anything more anyone wishes to add. If not, I would certainly welcome a motion.
All right.
And I can reiterate, if you wish, I have 11 conditions placed by the board.
Yeah, can we go through those 11 conditions? Because my thinking is making a motion that says conditional to the 11 conditions that Mike's got written down.
Number one, the temporary use shall be restricted to no more than 12 recreational vehicles being parked on the property at any one time, with a ratio not to exceed 1 RV to per lot. Number two, the temporary use shall expire, well, let me see here. The temporary use shall be subject to BZA approval within 24 months. Number three, the temporary use shall be subject to the issuance of an improvement location permit prior to further placement of our recreational vehicles on the site. Number four, the RVs must be skirted. Number five, the RVs must have current plates. Number six, prior to expiration of the board's approval, again, that might be 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whenever that happens, the property shall be restored to a condition devoid of RVs, trash and remnants of the temporary use. Number 7, there shall be a minimum 12-month lease for each of these RVs. Number 8, subject to the terms referenced in the owner's letter. Number 9, no more than 4 residents per RV. Is that what's mentioned? Okay. Number 10, tenants must be referenced on the lease. Is that correct? And number 11, the owner shall certify the maximum capacity of the private sanitary treatment plant. That's all of them.
All right. So, yeah, what he said. I got a second? I move that,
May I suggest a motion for you?
that would sound great.
Okay. A motion to allow the temporary placement of recreational vehicles in the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park, subject to conditions.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Can we go with that, or? Yep. Perfect. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Fedor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Any further discussion? Mr. Dale, if you would take roll.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
I'm sorry, was there a second on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Martin.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Amanda Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next up is a second request for the placement of mobile homes. And this is a site located directly south of the Pine Ridge mobile home facility. Here is a aerial photograph provided for you. The site consists of 5 acres, currently a residential property. My understanding from the owner is that this is also owned by Mr. Wisely, right? The same owner as the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park.
That's correct.
Is requesting a determination from the Board of Zoning Appeals that would allow the temporary parking and occupation of recreational vehicles at this location. It's my understanding that the request is limited, would be limited to 4 recreational vehicles.
Correct. It's actually 3, to be honest
Okay.
with you.
Okay. Go ahead.
So there's 4 lots there, plus a single-family home. There is 1 mobile home there, and then 3 additional mobile home lots that we have that we put RVs on. So there would be 3 at the 309 property.
Have there been RVs on those
Yes.
spaces
Yes,
previously?
the same, this is almost identical to Pine Ridge ever since we've owned it. It's there's either been mobile homes or RVs there. And it's the same, well, it also goes to the treatment plant. So very similar, just kind of an extension of the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park, I guess.
I appreciate that, because just looking at the picture, I didn't understand that this property had been in any use. But
Right.
it has been in this
Yes.
use.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
How far is the RV lots from the house? Is it 100 feet? I mean, it looks, I can't tell by looking at the picture here.
So if you look at the bottom left, or bottom right, that's kind of where the house is at. And then if you would move north, there is a mobile home next, there's actually a small garage that goes to the house, and then you have the mobile home. And then there are 2 lots. I mean, would you like me to point on the screen?
No, I
can
see,
you-
I was
okay.
just curious how far that is.
So then there's so you have the house, the garage, a mobile home, then there's 2 lots, and then you see the black roof by the, kind of in front of the house, in essence. That's another garage we use for storage, and then there's a cement pad to the north of that. That is also a mobile home lot.
So you said there's just 3 lots then?
Right. There's 4 lots total, as what I'm going to call 4 mobile home lots. We're currently utilizing 3 as RVs. and one is mobile home.
And I should have maybe clarified this for the record earlier, but this is all R2 zoning, which by right, mobile home parks fit in R2 zoning.
Correct, subject to a permit.
Well, yes.
Actually, development plan approval.
Sorry.
Yes.
Subject to development plan
Yeah.
approval. So a mobile home park in R2 would not have to go through BZA, it would just have to go through planning commission.
Right.
The reason that we're talking about variances is RVs versus mobile homes. Okay.
That is correct.
It's been half an hour since I read all this, so
I know.
it slips.
It definitely gets confusing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mike, I know these things have been there for a long time, but do we have a development plan on file for either one of these sites? Goes
Not to
back
my
to
knowledge,
Boone
right.
County and before they ever
Yeah, what
kept
did,
paper.
Ms. Plichelle, did you say since the 50s or 40s, or when was this established?
Yes, I think it was the 50s, maybe even early 60s, somewhere in that.
Both lots were back then?
Pardon?
Both the Pine Ridge and this lot were back in the 50s?
Yes.
Okay. Those are so far back from the road that, be honest with you, I didn't even know they were back there.
Right.
So, great screening,
Well,
good job.
we brought it to Mike's attention. So when the Pine Ridge, like I said, we kind of run it all as one. We kind of forget it's two parcels. I mean, it just, it just starts to run together. So when we started to kind of finalize this up, we told Mike, we said, oh, we forgot this other parcel is actually another parcel with a different address and all that. So we brought it to his attention to go concurrent here with Pine Ridge.
Any new discussion to be had for this parcel?
I have a few questions. How would the site be, how would these RVs be served with utilities, water and sewer, electrical, and so on?
As I said, it's the same. They go to the sewage treatment plant and well.
Okay. And then, you talked about placement too, the placement of those RVs.
And it's the same thing. There's one RV per lot. No
Okay.
different there.
Okay. That's all I have for the moment.
The driveway is on the south side of the property, and it's tree-lined. Are those,
It's not all tree line now. Duke Energy came through and just wiped out.
I saw they took some on you. But of those trees down through there, can we get a fire engine back in there? I know on the north lot, there's not enough trees to block it, but I mean, I don't want to see them try to go off-road to get in there in case there is a concern.
I believe you can. I mean, we've had our larger trucks go down there when we do the stone and things like that, so I feel pretty confident.
Mike, can we get certification from the fire department that they can get up and down the driveway at least? I'm just, I use the example of a house not too far from me that I think Whitestown and Zionsville took windows out of their fire trucks to try to get back to the fire. So,
Wow, yeah. Well, I know we don't think it was a bad thing that Duke came through and took those out. I mean, now it's actually much wider, so.
If the BZA grants this, can you provide a site plan showing us where those RVs would be parked? We don't have that yet.
I believe I have that with me,
Okay.
if you'd like that,
I don't
yes.
know at the moment, well, unless the board wants to see it.
Yes.
But we don't have a record of that.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Could you describe again where those are sited? Are they towards the back of the property?
They are,
Okay.
yes.
When I say back, I mean the east side of the property.
That would be
For
correct.
those playing at home.
Yes.
Yeah, a thumbs up from the fire department would be beneficial on this. I think just looking at it, looks like, yeah, I'm concerned about the trees. Looks like you can get in there and turn around okay, but I'm just concerned about the trees.
Mr. Fedor, you're suggesting this is an additional requirement?
Additional requirement on
Okay.
this one,
You're
yeah.
not asking to come back to it?
No.
Okay. Well, I invite further discussion, but if not any, I would welcome a motion.
Another question.
Oh,
Do you want to
sorry.
place similar conditions?
Oh,
for
that was
example-
presumed, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sure whoever would make the motion would consider
Oh,
that.
okay.
Mike, Tell you what, I'll make the motion. Mike, what you got for me?
Okay. Number one, the temporary use shall be restricted to no more than 4 RVs. Is that correct?
3.
Three. Being parked on the property at any one time. Number two, the temporary use shall be subject to review and approval within 24 months. Number three, prior to expiration of their approval, the site will be restored in a clean condition, devoid of RVs, trash, and remnants of the temporary use. 4, the temporary use shall be subject to the issuance of an improvement location permit prior to further placement of RVs on the site. 5, the Zionsville Fire Department shall verify that emergency equipment can safely access the site. Is that correct? 6, the owner shall provide a site plan depicting the location of the RVs. Okay, I'm going to put this in all writing to you, too. 7, the RVs must be skirted. 8, the RVs must have current plates. 9, I got that already, this year. 9, the RVs shall be subject to a minimum 12-month lease. 10, subject to the terms provided by the owner in the letter that he gave us. 11, no more than 4 residents per RV. 12, tenants must be referenced on the lease. And 13, the owner shall certify the maximum capacity, well, I think that's the same thing as the first, the early one. The owner shall certify the maximum capacity of the private sanitary treatment plant for these additional 3 RVs. So that's 13.
Mr. Dale, did you make reference to the property owner's letter and the restrictions within the
did.
letter? Thank you. I just missed that on my checklist. Thank you.
Mike, you got that motion from last time.
I recommend a motion to allow the temporary placement of recreational vehicles at 309 North US 421, subject to conditions.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what I was going to say.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any further discussion? Mr. Dale, if you would take the vote.
I'm sorry, who had the motion?
I made
Mr.
a motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fedor, and who seconded?
I did.
Dan
Okay,
seconded.
thank you. All right, Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Amanda Miller,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Josh Martin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I would like to thank you guys for providing affordable housing in the community up there and being a good steward to that lot over the years. Like I said, I've drove by it for years and I've never seen a trailer park that looks beautiful, but that one has always maintained a nice look to it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we do try to do that, and we hope we can provide more affordable housing. I know it's really a strain everywhere, and most of the cities that we're in, I mean, we're fortunate that I feel, because we do run a decent park, that we stay full pretty much most of our places. I mean, so we don't have many issues. But the affordable housing has just gotten crazy. You guys have all seen the rent prices and all that. I just talked to somebody today that said they're not sure what they're going to do. And we try to do everything we can. We try to figure all the different ways. Mark and I are pretty creative about trying to figure out how we're going to try to help people to get into the housing world and that kind of thing, and make them homeowners, not make them renters. You know, they're just throwing up so much money away, and, you know, excuse me, I've turned so many, like, single moms, you know, they said they could never own a home. I helped them to own a mobile home so they could have their own home and things like that. So we do try to do as much as we can. We're not perfect, that's for sure, but we try to do what we can.
Well, we appreciate your time tonight. You did an excellent job.
Thank you
We
very much.
appreciate all your time and considering this. We know that the LEAP project and Eli Lilly are very happy, along with all the contractors, that they don't have to scramble and go find a new place to live. And so I know from them, they really appreciate, they're all waiting and trying to figure out, like, what do we have to do? So, thank you guys for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dale, any further business?
No, sir.
Any members of the BZA, anything? Then I am happy to help us race out of here by asking for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All right, hammer down. Thank you.